Good morning, and welcome to another one of our devotionals. This one is for Saturday, and it's called Shoes of Proclamation, and it's based on Ephesians 6:14 through 15. Stand therefore and fasten the belt of truth around your waist, and put on the breastplate of righteousness. As shoes for your feet, put on whatever will make you ready to proclaim the gospel of peace. So how many of us regularly think about this passage in Ephesians that talks about the whole armor of God when we get ready to go out? I mean, I admit, I've thought more about it lately as I make sure that I have, hand sanitizer and a face mask and Clorox wipes in the car. I never would have thought about that 2 months ago. Never would have entered my head. I've never been one to picture myself as part of the army of God fighting against the cosmic evil powers of darkness. That's never a metaphor that really did anything for me. I've never viewed this as this cosmic battle between good and evil. I've always viewed humanity as filled with more than enough evil on its own. I mean, we're capable of truly horrendous things. I mean, just think about the time we're in right now. There are people out there who are purposefully going up and coughing on grocery store employees on purpose, or going in and coughing on produce in the grocery store. I mean, I just heard a story about a grocery store that had to throw away $35,000 worth of food because somebody went through and coughed and spit on it. That's just evil. Why would you waste that kind of food? Why would you threaten someone who's, making $10, $12 an hour in the grocery store, is coming to work in spite of all this going on when so many people get to stay at home? They're one of the few people that have to go to work so that everyone else can eat. And you're going to go up and hack on them? Really? I mean, to me, that's evil. That's awful. And that's completely within the bounds of what humans do all the time. Maybe it's because I studied so much history that I've seen kind of the patterns of how people behave. I mean, you study psychology and sociology, people can be horrible. I mean, we really can. We can do truly horrible things and justify ourselves all the time in what we do. So the idea of being in an army of God against this cosmic power of darkness, I think the battle's right here between ourselves. So I know I personally never think about this. It just doesn't really enter my head. But this idea of the armor of God enabling us to do that ongoing daily work of peacemaking, of reconciliation, of community building, now that is something I do think about. But I never think about it in terms of the armor of God, that all of this about, the breastplate of righteousness and all, I don't know, never did anything for me. I was never big into all the war imagery, and it just never meant much to me. I've never thought of my faith as a battlefield. That imagery didn't mean much to me. When I think about Jesus being about peace and reconciliation, to me, a battlefield is just antithetical to that. It just doesn't compute. But this idea that everything that we buy, that we use, that we have on, is supposed to be about furthering the message. Now that's an idea. Because this idea of, as shoes for your feet, put on whatever will make you ready to proclaim the gospel of peace. Now, one thing people joke about are my shoes, because I do have my preaching shoes, as I call them. Black pumps, with, kind of the big chunky heel or the loafer style black every Sunday. That's what I have on. Once in a while in the summer, I'll wear sandals, but that's not very often. Usually you will see me in some sort of black pump because that's what I wear. I've got on a black robe and I got on my black shoes. I mean, I can't wear navy shoes with a black robe. You can blame my grandmother for that one. I can't do it. It's just wrong. Because I look down and go, this doesn't match, I can't do this. So I have no end of pairs of black shoes for this reason. I always have black shoes. I even have black shoes like in boxes in my closet waiting for when this pair wears out, I'll get a new pair and start breaking them in. Because that's something that for me, that's what I wear. And some of it is just me and my OCD, but some of it is that's the shoes I'm comfortable in. Part of me getting ready on Sunday morning is, people joke, I always have on a black skirt, most of the time some kind of black top and a cardigan. The reason? I take the cardigan off when I put the robe on. But if I have on a long sleeve shirt, it gets really hot under the lights in the black robe. But in a sense, when I put on the robe and the stole, and I've got my black shoes on, in a sense, it is my armor. It's me putting on my preaching getup. It's my preaching outfit. I end up mentally in a different place once I'm in that robe. If you try to have a conversation with me right before worship, I don't want you to be telling me things you want me to remember, because I won't. I tell you that right now. If it's 5 minutes before worship and you have something you need me to remember, you better write it down or you better be prepared to tell me after worship. Because once I robe up, it's go time. Now I'm in worship mode. I'm in a completely different place in my own head. And that's how I prepare and how I get ready for preaching the gospel. It's a very strange act. It's a weird thing to do. It's something that doesn't happen in most parts of our lives anymore. And so when I get in that rather archaic looking outfit, part of what I'm doing is mentally changing gears. I'm not mom anymore. I'm not, wife first. No, right now I'm pastor and I'm preaching and I'm in a different place. And the shoes are just as important as the rest of it. The shoes are what are walking me right into the middle of where I'm going, right into the middle of where I'm supposed to be. They're just as important as anything else. Now, what we put on, it doesn't protect us from the world. It doesn't keep us from harm, but instead it takes us to where we're supposed to be. It takes us to those places where we're completely vulnerable and where the Spirit takes over. Absolutely. Absolutely they do. So let's think, what difference would it make if you imagined yourself in the whole armor described in Ephesians? Would it make a difference to you in your day-to-day life? What shoes do you need to put on in order to proclaim the gospel of peace? In my case, I guess it's a pair of black pumps. Who knew? And then third, how can you spread the gospel of peace in your spheres of influence today? That can be a little tougher since we're all separated and not together, but it's still just as vital and just as important to spread the gospel of peace. The gospel of peace. I think that's more necessary than ever. More necessary than ever. So I hope that this was a good conversation, one way, of course, but we'll see you again real soon. We have lots more devotionals to come. Have a good day.